I knew something was wrong when I walked into the server room that Monday morning and heard nothing but silence. No humming fans, no clicking hard drives, just dead quiet. That room had been my second home for 9 years, the place where I kept the financial heartbeat of Pacific Construction Solutions running strong. Without me, 8,500 construction workers across Washington, Oregon, and Northern California don't get their paychecks on time. And when construction workers don't get paid, they don't just complain, they walk off the job. I'm Garrett Stone, 49 years old, and I've been running the payroll systems here since this company was barely half its current size. Before this, I spent 6 years in the Army working on communications systems, so I know how to keep complex operations running smoothly. Managing payroll for everyone from concrete crews in Seattle to crane operators in Sacramento isn't glamorous work, but it's honest work, and I'm damn good at it. Construction payroll isn't like running numbers for some office workers. These guys work in rain, snow, blazing heat, weekends, holidays. They're up on 30-story steel frames, pouring concrete in freezing weather, working overtime when storms knock out power lines and people need their electricity back. They earn every penny they make, and they deserve to get it exactly when they expect it. The system I maintain is a beast. It's built on legacy databases, custom scripts, and 9 years of modifications I've made with the precision of a master mechanic working on vintage machinery. I know every quirk, every workaround, every potential failure point. When Washington State changed their prevailing wage calculations last year, I rebuilt the entire engine in 4 days. When OSHA updated their compliance requirements, I coded the new modules from scratch while drinking coffee and listening to classic rock until 3 in the morning. You want to know how complex this gets? Try calculating overtime for a crew that starts Monday in Seattle, moves to a job site in Portland on Wednesday, then finishes the week in Northern California. Each state has different labor laws, tax rates, union agreements. Add in equipment rental tracking, hazard pay for working near chemical sites, and federal prevailing wages for government contracts. Justin's Excel spreadsheet was about to get a reality check that would make a tax attorney weep. But corporate headquarters doesn't see it that way. They see an old system that costs money to maintain, and they see me as the expensive guy who knows too much. That's where Carol Bennett comes in. Carol is the new owner after her construction conglomerate, Bennett Construction Group, bought us out 3 months ago. She brought her son Justin along for the ride. Justin Bennett is 26 years old with a fresh MBA and 0 real-world experience. He's one of those guys who thinks every business problem can be solved with a PowerPoint presentation and buzzwords like digital transformation and operational efficiency. Never spent a day on a construction site, never had to explain to a single mom why her paycheck is screwed up because some calculation went sideways. Never had to deal with an angry foreman whose crew didn't get their hazard pay because the system couldn't figure out they were working within 500 feet of chemical storage. The meeting happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Carol called me into her office with Sharon Clark from HR. Sharon's been here almost as long as I have, but she's always been more concerned with protecting the company than protecting employees. She had that nervous look of someone who knows bad news is coming, but has to deliver it professionally. Carol's office looked like something from a business magazine. Glass desk, leather chairs, view of the equipment yard that she probably never actually looked at. She was typing on her laptop when I walked in, making me wait while she finished whatever supposedly urgent task required her attention. Garrett, Carol said, not bothering to look up. We're restructuring the IT operations, moving toward a more streamlined, cost-effective model. I sat down in the chair across from her desk. What does that mean for payroll systems? That's the exciting part. Carol finally looked at me with the kind of smile car salesmen practice. I want you to meet my son, Justin. He just completed his MBA, and he's developed an innovative solution that's going to revolutionize how we handle payroll. Here's the thing about family businesses. Blood always beats competence. I'd seen it before, but I thought our operation was too critical for that kind of nonsense. I was wrong. Justin walked in like he owned the place, which through family connections, he basically did, wearing a business suit that probably cost more than most of our workers make in a week, carrying a MacBook like it was the holy grail of business solutions. Hi, Garrett, he said, extending a hand. I've been analyzing your processes. Very thorough, but also very manual. I think we can do significantly better. The way he said manual made it sound like I was using an abacus. Better how? Justin opened his laptop and started clicking through screens with the confidence of someone who'd never seen a real system crash. I've built a comprehensive payroll solution using Excel. It's cloud-based, intuitive, and it can handle all the calculations you're currently doing with those legacy SQL databases. I stared at him. Excel? You want to run payroll for 8,500 construction workers using a spreadsheet. Not just any spreadsheet, Justin said, getting defensive. This has pivot tables, conditional formatting, automated macros. It's essentially a database, but user-friendly. User-friendly. That's what they always say when they want to replace something that actually works with something that looks prettier. I've been in this business long enough to know that user-friendly usually means it works great until it doesn't. And then you're completely screwed, because nobody understands what's happening under the hood. I looked at Carol, hoping to see some signs she understood how insane this was. Is this serious? It's innovation, Garrett, Carol said, leaning back in her leather chair. Justin's model can reduce processing time by 40% and cut our IT overhead significantly. There it was, cut IT overhead. What she meant was they could fire me and pay Justin a fraction of my salary. I'd seen this movie before. Young MBA promises the world with some half-baked solution. Experienced employee gets shown the door. Then 6 months later, they're begging for help fixing the disaster. Payroll runs this Friday, I said, keeping my voice level. Today is Tuesday. If you're planning to switch systems, you need to understand what you're dealing with. I started explaining the complexity, prevailing wage calculations for government contracts that vary by county and project type, union differentials that change based on consecutive days worked, equipment tracking cross-referenced with GPS data, OSHA compliance reporting that has to be filed within specific timeframes, multi-state tax withholdings, where a guy can start Monday in Seattle and finish Friday in Sacramento. Justin was nodding like he understood, but I could see his eyes glazing over. He thought he got it because he'd read about payroll in some textbook. Reality was about to give him an education no MBA program provides. I've accounted for all of that, he interrupted. My model includes lookup tables for all state regulations and automated tax calculations. Lookup tables. Jesus, the Washington prevailing wage database alone has over 600 job classifications with different rates depending on which county you're working in. Union contracts have overtime rules that would confuse a tax attorney. Some guys get time and a half after 8 hours, double time after 12, but only on certain project types. Then you have hazard pay that kicks in if they're working within 500 feet of chemical storage, and the rate changes based on proximity and what chemicals. Add in the fact that crews move between job sites during the week. A concrete crew might start Monday pouring foundation in Tacoma, move to a bridge repair in Portland on Wednesday, then finish Friday on a federal highway project outside Sacramento. Each location has different wage requirements, different safety protocols, different union rules. Try programming that into a VLOOKUP formula. Justin, I said, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. Have you ever calculated prevailing wages for a federal highway project? I've studied the regulations, he said. Studying and doing are different things. When you get prevailing wages wrong on a federal contract, the Department of Labor audits everything. They can fine us for every hour calculated incorrectly going back 3 years. Last time that happened to a company our size, they paid $2.8 million in penalties. Carol waved dismissively. We'll have compliance reviews. Justin's model includes error checking. Error checking in Excel. Like conditional formatting was going to catch it when some foreman in Portland enters his timesheet wrong and Justin's lookup formula returns incorrect wage rates for 50 guys on a government job. Let me show you what I mean, I said. Turning to my computer, I pulled up the Oregon prevailing wage database. See this? Job classification 23 to 1047, concrete finisher, Multnomah County. Base rate is $31.85 per hour. But if the same guy works on a federal project, it jumps to $38,027. If he works overtime on the federal project after 8 hours in a day, it's time and a half of the federal rate. But if he works overtime on a county project, it's time and a half of the base rate unless it's emergency work. Then it's double time. Justin was staring at the screen like I was speaking a foreign language. Now, multiply that by 847 different job classifications in Oregon alone. Add Washington's 623 classifications and California's 1,200 plus. Then factor in that these rates change quarterly, sometimes monthly. Your Excel lookup table would need to be updated constantly, and one missed update means hundreds of miscalculated paychecks. The system can handle updates, Justin said, but his voice was losing confidence. Can it handle this? I clicked to another screen. This is our time tracking integration. We pull data from 52 different job sites using 14 different timekeeping systems. Some sites use badge scanners, others use mobile apps, some still use paper timesheets that get scanned and converted. The data comes in different formats. Some systems export CSV files, others use XML. Some still send us faxed PDFs that we have to process manually. I showed him the data reconciliation module. Before any payroll calculation happens, we have to clean and standardize all this data. Look at this same employee, 3 different ways his name appears in the system, depending on which site he worked at. The Phoenix crew knows him as Big Mike Rodriguez. The Portland site has him as Miguel A. Rodriguez, and the Sacramento project lists him as M. Rodriguez Jr. Same social security number, same guy, but your Excel spreadsheet would see 3 different employees. Justin was quiet now, finally starting to understand the scope of what he was proposing to replace. Then there's the integration with our benefit system. Workers' comp calculations, union dues that vary by local, 401 key contributions that have different vesting schedules depending on when the employee was hired, health insurance deductions that change based on family status and plan selection, and state disability insurance that's calculated differently in each state. I leaned back in my chair. So tell me, Justin, have you tested your Excel model with real data from all 52 job sites, accounting for all these variables? I've tested it extensively, he said, but his voice was barely above a whisper. On what data? Sample data from HR, plus theoretical scenarios. Sample data, theoretical scenarios. He'd tested his revolutionary payroll solution on make-believe numbers. It was like test driving a race car in a parking lot at 15 miles per hour and assuming it could handle the Indianapolis 500. Garrett, Sharon finally spoke up. We'll need you to provide Justin with all necessary passwords and documentation for a smooth transition. Documentation? Most of the critical processes were in custom scripts I'd written over 9 years. The real knowledge wasn't documented anywhere. It was in my head. When's my last day? I asked. Friday, Carol said. After the payroll run. We want to ensure continuity, and if the transition isn't smooth, it will be. Justin jumped in. I've tested my model extensively. I stood up, my knees popping the way they do when you've been sitting too long or when you're about to make a decision that'll either ruin you or vindicate you completely. All right then, we'll see how it goes. That's the spirit, Carol said, already looking back at her laptop. I walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back to Justin. One piece of advice. He looked up from his MacBook, probably expecting some technical tip. When this crashes, I said, and it will crash, don't panic. Just remember that 8,500 people are counting on their paychecks to pay rent and buy groceries. That might help you prioritize. The next 3 days were like watching a slow-motion train wreck. I spent Wednesday and Thursday documenting everything I could, writing user guides and step-by-step instructions. But you can't document institutional knowledge. You can't write down the gut feeling that tells you when something looks wrong or the instinct that makes you double-check a calculation because it's off by just enough to matter. Justin shadowed me those days, taking notes on his tablet and asking questions that showed he had no clue what he was getting into. Why do you manually verify the Oregon wage classifications? He asked Wednesday morning as I ran through the pre-payroll checks. Because the state database has been corrupted since 2018, I explained. It shows correct wage rates, but about 5% of job classifications return wrong county codes. If you don't catch it, guys, working in Portland, get paid rural rates, which is about $6 an hour difference. Can't we just fix the database? It's a state system. We don't control it. We work around it. He made a note on his tablet. I could see him typing fix state database issue, like that was something he could handle with an email to the governor. What about this manual review of the union dues calculations? Local 302 in Seattle has a different dues structure than Local 701 in Portland. I said, pulling up the spreadsheet I used to track the variations. Plus, some guys are traveling members working outside their home local, so they pay different rates. The system tries to calculate automatically, but it gets confused when a Seattle guy works a Portland job for more than 30 consecutive days. Then he has to pay Portland rates too. Justin stared at the screen full of union codes and rate tables. This seems unnecessarily complex. Complex? This is simple compared to the benefit calculations. Show him the Kaiser Permanente deduction table. Andy Wheeler, one of our payroll clerks, pulled up another screen. See, Justin, health insurance deductions vary by state, by plan type, by family coverage level, and by hire date because older employees got grandfathered into better plans. Then you've got the California employees who can choose between Kaiser and Blue Cross, but only if they live in certain zip codes. And don't get me started on the HSA contributions that some states allow and others don't. Justin's confidence was visibly shrinking. I hadn't considered all the state-specific variations. That's just health insurance, I said. Wait until you see workers' comp calculations. California has over 400 different classification codes with different rates. A concrete finisher pays a different rate than a concrete pump operator, even though they're working the same job site. Get the classification wrong and our insurance premiums spike. Thursday afternoon, Justin started importing real data into his Excel model. I watched him upload the raw time files from our 52 job sites across 3 states. The spreadsheet immediately started lagging. It's just processing, he said, clicking refresh while Excel ground through 8,500 employee records. But I could see what was happening. His lookup formulas were hitting circular references because he didn't understand how prevailing wage calculations cascade. When federal, state, and local wage requirements can all apply to the same job, you can't use simple VLOOKUP functions. You need conditional logic that checks multiple criteria in specific order. The file size was growing exponentially as Excel tried to process all the cross-references. His laptop fan was whining like a jet engine. Justin, I said carefully, you might want to test that on smaller data first. It'll be fine, he replied, but I could hear uncertainty creeping in as Excel's memory usage spiked to 98% and the program started freezing. Maybe we should save this and try a different approach, Andy suggested. No, it's working, Justin insisted, clicking frantically as Excel displayed the spinning beach ball of death. I exchanged a look with Andy. We both knew what was coming next. Excel crashed. Hard, did you save a backup? I asked. The look on Justin's face told me everything. He'd been so confident in his system that he hadn't bothered with basic precautions. I can rebuild it, he said quickly. With what data? The system we imported from is locked down for payroll processing. You won't be able to extract clean data again until after Friday's run. That's when the panic started creeping into Justin's voice. There has to be another way. There is, I said. Use the system that actually works. The one I've been maintaining for 9 years. But Justin was too proud, too invested in proving his solution was superior. I'll figure it out. Friday morning came, and it was showtime. Justin arrived early with his laptop and nervous energy. He'd managed to rebuild part of his Excel model overnight, but I could tell from the dark circles under his eyes that it hadn't gone well. I gathered my personal items, coffee mug with World's Okayest database admin, photo of my Army unit, and a bottle of bourbon I kept for emergencies. Something told me they'd need it more than I would. The bank cutoff for direct deposits is noon. I reminded him as he set up at my workstation. After that, people don't get paid until Monday. Got it, he said, staring at his screen where Excel was grinding through payroll data like a wood chipper trying to process a telephone pole. Remember, when you transmit to the bank, double-check the control totals. If the number of employees doesn't match the number of payment records, the bank will reject the entire file. He nodded absently, focused on his screen where formulas were calculating at a snail's pace. I started to leave, then stopped. Justin, one more thing. When this goes sideways, and it will, don't try to fix it by running calculations again. Each time you reprocess, you create duplicate entries. Fix the problem first, then rerun. He wasn't really listening. He was staring at his screen where the spreadsheet was showing values errors in about half the cells. I drove home in my pickup, windows down, Johnny Cash on the radio. I should have been angry, but mostly I felt like I was watching a disaster movie where you know the asteroid's going to hit, but the characters haven't figured it out yet. My phone started buzzing around 10:30. Text from Andy Wheeler, Garrett, Justin's spreadsheet shows weird numbers. My overtime calculation says I worked negative hours last week. Then another from Dennis Walsh in our Portland office. Dude, according to this payroll report, I make $1,247 an hour as a concrete finisher. I wish. By 1100, my phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Guys from across our territory were seeing their pay stubs in the employee portal, and nothing made sense. Employee ID numbers were mixed up with social security numbers. Job classifications were scrambled. Crane operators were showing as office clerks. Concrete finishers were listed as executives. The best one came from Roy Cooper, a foreman in Sacramento. Garrett, my pay stub says I worked 3,200 hours last week and earned $47,000. Did I rob the company or what? I could picture exactly what happened during data import. Justin had mixed up column headers. Employee ID numbers were being used as hours worked, and hours worked were being treated as pay rates. Excel was calculating wages using social security numbers as multipliers. But the real disaster was still coming. The weird numbers in the employee portal were just the appetizer. The main course would be served at noon when the bank tried to process Justin's payroll file. At 11:45, my phone rang. Sharon from HR, and her voice was tight with panic. Garrett, we need to talk. Justin's payroll file is showing irregularities. What kind of irregularities? According to his calculations, we owe the federal government $3.1 million in tax withholdings this week, but we only collected $240,000 from employee paychecks. I pulled into my driveway, listening to Sharon explain how Justin's Excel model had created what was essentially a mathematical black hole. Also, Sharon continued, the bank is questioning why we're trying to direct deposit $52,000 to a concrete mixer in Eugene while deducting $28,000 from a crane operator's pay for something called equipment rental recovery fees. Has anyone told Carol yet? She's in meetings all day. Justin said he could fix it. Famous last words. I'd heard them before from every overconfident rookie who thought they could patch a sinking ship with duct tape and good intentions. By 2 p.m., Pacific Construction Solutions wasn't a construction company anymore. It was a disaster zone. The bank had rejected Justin's payroll file so hard it probably set off their fraud detection alarms. According to their automated response, we were attempting to transfer invalid amounts to invalid accounts using invalid routing protocols. The employee portal had crashed under the weight of 8,500 workers trying to figure out why their pay stubs looked like they'd been written by a drunk mathematician having a nervous breakdown. Some guys were showing overtime rates of $2,000 an hour. Others had negative salaries and somehow owed the company money for the privilege of working there. But the real fireworks started when the union got involved. Rex Thompson has been representing construction workers for 20 years. He's built like a linebacker, talks like a truck driver, and has zero patience for corporate nonsense. When his guys don't get paid, Rex doesn't send strongly worded emails. He shuts things down. By 3 p.m., Rex was standing on his pickup truck outside our main office with a bullhorn, and work trucks were lining up behind him. Pacific Construction thinks they can play games with working people's paychecks. His voice boomed across the parking lot. If they can't figure out how to pay us, maybe we should stop working for them. Rex had organized strikes before, and he knew how to make them hurt. Within minutes, he had site foremen on the radio coordinating shutdowns across 3 states. This wasn't some random walkout. It was a precision operation designed to bring maximum pressure. The Wildcat strike spread faster than bad news at a family reunion. Seattle sites shut down first, then Portland, then the highway project outside Sacramento. By 4 p.m., every Pacific Construction job site in 3 states had gone quiet. 8,500 workers sitting in their trucks, posting videos on social media, calling local news stations. The footage was beautiful in a tragic sort of way, aerial shots of idle construction sites, interviews with workers holding pay stubs that made no mathematical sense, union reps explaining to reporters how a company that builds half the infrastructure in the Pacific Northwest couldn't figure out basic payroll. My phone kept buzzing with updates from people still inside the building. Andy texted, Justin's locked himself in the conference room. Been trying to fix his spreadsheet for 4 hours, but every change breaks something else. Another message from Dennis. Carol's been screaming at IT support all afternoon. Apparently Justin deleted the original data trying to reload everything. Of course he did. When you're panicking and something's not working, the natural impulse is to start over. But when you start over in Excel without backing up your work, you lose everything. Justin had just erased the only copy of the raw payroll data, and the backup systems only worked if someone who knew what they were doing set them up properly. Sharon sent me a photo from inside the office. Justin was sitting at a conference table surrounded by printouts, his laptop open, looking like he'd aged 10 years in one day. Carol was pacing behind him, talking rapidly on her phone, probably trying to explain to Bennett Construction Group's board why their latest acquisition was making national news for all the wrong reasons. The evening news coverage was brutal. Channel 7 in Seattle led with construction giant can't pay workers, showing footage of idle job sites and interviews with confused employees. The Portland station ran a piece titled Payroll Meltdown, featuring Roy Cooper explaining how his pay stub claimed he'd worked 200 hours in a single day. The Sacramento affiliate went with Excel Disaster Shuts Down Construction, interviewing union leaders about corporate incompetence. Rex Thompson was particularly eloquent. They fired the guy who knew how to run their systems and replaced him with some kid with a spreadsheet. Now, 8,500 families don't know if they can pay rent this month. By Saturday morning, the story had gone viral. Construction workers from other companies were sharing their own horror stories about corporate cost-cutting. The hashtag Excel disaster was trending. Someone had created a meme of a stick figure, labeled MBA, trying to hold up a collapsing building with a tiny spreadsheet. Monday's industry publications were merciless. Engineering News Record ran a feature called When Cost Cutting Goes Wrong, using Pacific Construction as a case study in operational failures. Construction Dive published The Hidden Costs of Replacing Experience, interviewing experts about the risks of eliminating institutional knowledge. But the real pressure was coming from the clients. The Washington State Department of Transportation called an emergency meeting about the delayed highway project. The Port of Seattle wanted explanations for the stalled expansion work. Private developers were threatening to invoke contract penalties for missed deadlines. Tuesday morning, I was sitting on my porch drinking coffee and reading news articles about our payroll crisis when my phone rang. Carol Bennett, and her voice sounded like she'd been chewing gravel for 3 days straight. "Garrett, we need to talk." "Morning, Carol. Saw you on the news last night. Nice interview, especially the part where you blamed the problems on unforeseen technical complications during a routine system upgrade. Cut the jokes. The State Labor Board is opening investigations in 3 states. The union's talking class action lawsuit. The bank froze our operating accounts because our payroll file made their fraud detection system think we'd been hacked. Sounds like quite a situation. I need you to come back. Consulting basis, name your price." I'd been waiting for this call since Friday afternoon. $12,000 cash up front, plus a new contract at double my old salary. Done. I'm not finished. I want a public apology from you and Justin posted on the company website, admitting that the payroll problems were caused by premature implementation of an inadequate system. Long silence. Then, fine. One more thing. I report directly to operations now, not through Justin. I'm done dealing with people who think Excel is enterprise software. Whatever you need, Garrett, just fix this. I drove back Wednesday morning. The parking lot still had union guys camped out, but they waved when they saw my truck. Rex walked over as I got out. "Tell me you're here to save our asses. Working on it, Rex. You should see some movement by Thursday morning. What about back pay for the time we've been sitting here? Every penny, with overtime for guys who were scheduled to work." I walked into the building like I owned it, because for the next few days I basically did. The server room felt like coming home after a long, strange trip. I fired up my workstation and started digging through the wreckage Justin had left behind. It was worse than I'd expected. He hadn't just corrupted the payroll data, he'd locked database tables, created circular references in tax modules, and somehow convinced the system that we employed 247,000 people named Error. It took me 22 hours of straight work, but I rebuilt everything from archived transaction logs, real backups stored on systems Justin didn't even know existed. By Thursday morning, I had clean payroll files ready for the bank. I hit transmit at 6 a.m. The electronic funds transfer went through without a hitch. 8,500 workers would wake up to find their correct paychecks waiting, plus overtime pay for the days they'd lost sitting in parking lots. Friday morning, I walked into Carol's office. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in a week. "It's done," I said. "Everyone's paid correctly, including compensation for strike time. Thank you." Her voice was quiet. "Where's Justin?" "Reassigned to marketing research." Turns out family connections only go so far when you cost the company millions of dollars and nearly trigger federal investigations. She gestured toward the corner office with windows overlooking the equipment yard. "That's yours now. Had them install a new coffee machine." I sat down in the leather chair, looking out at construction sites coming back to life. Cranes moving, trucks rolling with full crews. My phone buzzed with a text from Andy. Heard Justin's in marketing now. Think he can calculate ad impressions? I opened my desk drawer and pulled out that bottle of bourbon I'd been saving for a special occasion. This seemed like the right time. Sometimes experience beats innovation, sometimes the old ways are better than the new ways. And sometimes when corporate tries to fix what isn't broken, they learn why some jobs require more than just an MBA and a spreadsheet. I raised the bottle toward the window, watching our crews get back to building the infrastructure that keeps this country running. Here's to keeping the systems running and making sure working people get what they've earned. That's worth celebrating. Sometimes the most important person in a company isn't the one with the biggest title or the fanciest degree. It's the one who keeps the lights on when nobody's watching. You can replace a lot of things with newer technology, but you can't replace the judgment that comes from years of watching systems fail and learning how to make them work.